What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rob. I like to play games, and welcome back to another Commander Corner. Today, we're going to be going over something a little bit different, so let's switch it up and show you what we're working with today. Alright, so over here, you are going to see man's best friend. That's right, we are playing Dogmeat today. So Dogmeat is a Naya commander, so that's going to be red, green, and white. He is a 3/3 legendary dog. When he enters the battlefield, mill 5 cards, then return an aura or equipment card from your graveyard to your hand. And whenever a creature you control that's enchanted or equipped attacks, you create a junk token. Now, what's a junk token? Well, that is going to be this little thing here, which is an artifact token that you can tap to sacrifice, exile a top card of your library, and you may play that card this turn. So basically, it's an impulse draw style card, which is pretty good. Red doesn't have a whole lot of draw, neither does green or white, so it being an impulse draw is kind of the thing. Now, the way that this deck was built was originally based off of another idea I had on building just a Boros or red-white deck around this card here, Nahiri, Forged in Fury. She's a 6-mana legendary creature that's a 5/4 that has affinity for equipment, so her colorless cost is reduced by 1 for every equipment that we have in play. Excuse me, one moment. And then she says, whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, exile a top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. You may cast equipment spells this way without paying their mana cost. Now, she's still a good card for the deck, which is why we kept her in. But green kind of gave us that ramp that we needed to kind of go forward. Now, the initial idea I had for this deck, and the one that I kind of went with, was based around stuff like this, this living weapon. Now, Living Weapon also has another keyword similar to that called For Mirrodin from the new Phyrexia block, and then another one in the Final Fantasy blocks in the form of Job Select. Now, what those do is they create tokens. Living Weapon creates a 0/1 germ. For Mirrodin creates a 2/2 rebel, I believe it is. Let's find that quick. I know I've got a few of them in here. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. Yeah, so For Mirrodin makes a 2/2 red rebel, and then Job Select creates a 1/1 hero. Now, the whole premise I kind of was going with is equipment always has the downside of you can play it, but then you have to equip it. So my concept was, what if we just played the equipment already equipped? So a lot of weapons that create their own token. And we kind of built around a token strategy in that sense. And I gotta say, this is probably one of the most fun decks I've ever built and have played. This is from my personal collection. This is not a theorycraft or anything like that, like the last video was. This is one that I actively have built and I use on the regular. So this is kind of a fun deck. That's why the maybe board's a little bit longer, because it's cards that I've taken out, put in, things that I want to play, but maybe don't have the money to afford or just haven't found yet. So let's kind of just go over the deck and we'll do some play tests. So with every good deck, let's start with the ramp. In the ramp section, I went mostly for aura-based, because Dogmeat grabs auras or equipment, remember. He doesn't really care which is which. So in that sense, we can play him and get some ramp pieces like Abundant Growth or Wild Growth or even Fertile Ground. Now, we do have our standard, Soul Ring in here, as well as like Freya Crescent. She can tap to add mana for equipments or activate equipment abilities. She's also good to put equipment on. So, like, say the tokens die. Well, we need creatures to put those on. Why is she good? Well, she can jump. During your turn, Freya Crescent has flying, so that's really good. Same thing with Sid, Free Flyer Pilot. Equipment and vehicle spells you cast cost 1 less. Cool. Our equipment costs less. He has jump, as well as he has a little bit of recursion. He can return an equipment or vehicle from the graveyard to the hand, which is great. We have Squall here, which is essentially just Danitha, just repurposed. It's my favorite Final Fantasy characters, so I wanted to play the Final Fantasy version of it. You can just play Danitha. It's perfectly fine if you want to build this. We've also got like Bitterthorn and Sword of the Animus. Again, equipment-based ramp, things that we want. Bureau Headmaster, equipment spells cost 1 less, and equip abilities cost 1 less. This pulls double duty in this deck for that reason. Pip-Boy was an interesting one here. Has a bunch of different modes. Primarily I use it for the untap up to 2 target lands, but later in the game, or if you don't have anything you want to play, or maybe your hand's filled with lands, well, you can draw cards, or you can put +1/+1 counter on a creature. It does have utility outside of that. I have it in the ramp section because that's primarily what I've been using it for. There's also then Golden Tail Trainer. Now, this card is an all-star in this deck, or in equipment spells you cast cost X less, where X is Golden Tail Trainer's power. Now, that's only a 1 mana reduction. However, you start enchanting her, you start equipping her, that gets bigger, which makes it even better. Then, when she attacks, other modified creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is Golden Tail Trainer's power. Now, what's a modified creature? Modified creatures are anything that's equipped, has an aura, or has counters on them. So this includes +1/+1 counters, like from the Pip-Boy. Now, some fun interactions you can do with that is you can put something like this card. Nettlecyst. Living weapon. So again, makes the Phyrexian Germ, the 0/0. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Yes, read that again. +1/+1 for each equipment and enchantment. Remember those junk tokens I was talking about? Yeah, those are artifacts. So this thing can get really big. You put it on Golden Tail. Now, all of your equipment is super cheap, and your guys get pumped ridiculously. So, other things we want to look at, some draw. We've got Glimmer Lens, which is a 4 Mirrodin card. Whenever equipped creature and at least one other creature attack, draw a card. Malevolent Rumble, this is a card I think that is overlooked by a lot of people. Look at the top 4 cards of your library, put a permanent card from among them into your hand. All of your equipment are permanents, as well as any lands you want, so it kind of pulls double duty there. And then you put the rest in your graveyard. You then create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn token, which can sack and add mana. So, like, yes, I have it as a draw card, but it also ramps. It, again, pulls double duty. Something I really like. Pure Steel Paladin, all-star for any equipment deck. Whenever an equipment enters the battlefield, draw a card. Metalcraft, so if you have 3 or more or 3 or more artifacts, equipments you control have equip 0, which is great. Other things, we've got Cutzel. Cutzel says whenever 1 or more creatures you control, each with power greater than its base power, deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. If they're equipped, they're greater than their power, or than their printed power, so much better. We've got Nahiri, as well as I put in a new card. I haven't had a whole lot of time to test this, but Lucy McLean from the Fallout Secret Lair. So, golden rule, whenever a token enters, you may have target player other than its controller create a token that's a copy of it. Then you draw a card if an opponent controlled the token in this way. Do this only once each turn. Okay, so why is that good? Well, so say we cast Nettlecyst. We made a 0/0 germ token. We'll give you that token. Oh, it's going to die, but we're going to draw a card off of it. So little things like that where we're already playing the tokens and things like that just make that better. And of course, we already talked about Nahiri, that's in here, as well as Cloud from the Final Fantasy Precon itself. Again, he's a Naya commander that cares about equipment. Now, he cares more about power 7 or greater, but he also draws cards for each equipped attacking creature you control when he attacks as well. So with that, it's more draw power. Our removal section is kind of light, but we're more or less trying to just beat over our opponents with just sheer numbers and strength. But we have like Dispatch, which is Metalcraft, Path to Exile. I did do more of the aura style of removal because, again, Dogmeat grabs it, doesn't care. So we've got your Darksteel Mutation, we've got Kenrith's Transformation, Lignify, you know, the normals there, Beast Within, which is a standard. Signature Slam. This is a card that, honestly, it's grown a lot on me, especially with this deck. So, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then each modified creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. This can turn into a 3-mana board wipe. Like, late enough in the game, all of your equipped tokens now deal damage to stuff. You can take out multiple threats. And then Lion Sash is good here as kind of a graveyard hate sort of thing. We've got a small recursion package here, pre-formal wear. Pre-war formal wear, this actually has a combo with a card later in the deck. I'll show that to you here in a second, where it can return a creature and it's automatically equipped. Seems pretty good. Gets us back one of our utility creatures that we have. Plus gives it a nice boost. +2/+2 in Vigilance isn't bad. We've got Batterskull, Red 13, Danitha, Forge Anew. This card's an all-star. Absolute all-star. Enters the battlefield, return equipment from your graveyard to the battlefield. As long as your turn, you can activate equipment abilities as though you could an instant, and then you can pay 0 rather than pay equip for the first equip ability you activate during each of your turns. This allows you to turn it into an in-turn combat trick where you attack with a bunch of stuff, they do some tricks or something like that. You can move your equipments around, or at least one, a couple of them. So that's pretty good. And then Sephiroth. Sephiroth's, just really good in this deck. Whenever he attacks, you may put a cell counter on target creature. Until end of turn, each modified creature you control has base power and toughness of 7/5. So all those weak tokens that we have that are now all with equipments just became huge. So it allows us to kind of go for the fences in that way. I've also got a couple of token packages where whenever we play an equipment, we get more tokens and things like that. And then some tutors. We've got Open the Armory, Fighter Class, and then Cloud Midgar Mercenary. This one's from the Final Fantasy set. So it's Stoneforge Mystic on a stick, or Stoneforge Mystic Mark II. Now what's really cool with this is that second line of text. As long as Cloud is equipped, and if an ability of Cloud or an equipment attached to it triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Remember that pre-war formal wear that I talked about? Yeah, if you return Cloud, you get 2 searches, because Cloud sees himself as equipped when he enters the battlefield. It's pretty strong. Lets you grab the 2 best equipments out of your deck. So we do have some copy materials. Won't go over those too much. But the big thing is then, well, how do we win? Well, I've already shown you Nettlecyst. Nettlecyst is ridiculously good with this. We have ways to give flying. We have creatures with flying. All That Glitters, pretty good. Obviously, I needed this as another I win button. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment you control. It's going to be a lot. As well as Machinist Arsenal, which is another Nettlecyst, but it's +2/+2. Pretty strong. Again, it's a job select. This was one of my favorite cards from the Final Fantasy pre-release that I did, and I wanted to find a home for it, and this happened to be the perfect home. And then lastly, we have Hexplate Wallbreaker. +2/+2, so it makes a 4/4 for 5 mana. And whenever an equipped creature attacks, if the first combat this turn, untap each attacking creature and have another combat phase. Seems pretty good. Multiple combat phases are pretty good in Commander. Now, interestingly enough, this deck can go Voltron if it wants. If for some reason things don't go your way, you can just move all your equipment to, say, Dogmeat and just start doing 21 damage to people. You can put them on any of your other, really good cards like Danitha, Benalia's Light, Vigilance Trample, Lifelink. It's pretty good. You can put them on Golden Tail for all I care. Even the original Danitha, or in this case Squall, First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink. That's going to hit really hard. So there are many ways to utilize this. It has a lot of staying power. Even with some of our protection, like Heroic Intervention, as I mentioned in the last video, it's a staple. It's the gold standard. Hammer and Nazan, really good. Throw it on Dogmeat. Cauldron Complete. I've won games with this. just starting off the game, making a 5/5 or 5/5 first strike, trample, indestructible, haste, and whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, exile that creature. So it's very tough to get rid of, and it's just gonna do damage and it's gonna do work. So some notable lands that I've been using in this: Ishgard, the Holy Sea. Return up to 2 target artifact or enchantment cards from your graveyard to your hand. Again, another recursion thing, plus then you can play it as a land later. Another one that I've been having some fun with is Windbrisk Heights. For a white, you can tap this to play the exiled card without paying its mana cost, so it's Hideaway 4. But you have to attack with 3 or more creatures. Not a bad card. That's actually not the one I was thinking of. Here it is. Monumental Hedge. This is the one. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control planes. For 4 mana, 2 of anything, 2 white. Look at top 5 cards of your library, reveal a historic card from among them, and put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom. All of your equipment are artifacts. Artifacts are historic cards. Guess what you get to do? It's a free card draw. It's not a bad thing to have. On a land, it's pretty free. So I kind of like that in this deck as well as Axguard Armory, which is, again, 1 double red white, tap, sacrifice it, search for an aura or an equipment, and put it in your hand. Again, just another tutor to go and grab a win condition. We're in Naya. We have to utilize tutors to, do some things. I understand that's not going to be something that a lot of people want, but I honestly enjoy it with this style of play. So let's do a couple of test hands, and we'll move into the maybe board. Alright, so looking at our first hand here, not a great one. We're going to take our free mulligan there. And this one's a little bit better. We've got at least 3 lands here, which is great. We've got a cost reducer, we got some removal, and some ramp. I think that's a keeper. So let's start off with that. Alright. So we'll start with the landscape, because the landscape is actually pretty good for us. This allows us to tap, search for a basic, and put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. We're just going to do that right away, because that's one of the first things we want. Now this deck is pretty reliant in the early game on having green, so we're going to look for a forest right away and get that going. I'm going to go to turn 2. Now there might have been a reason to maybe go for a red or a white, but we have them in our hands. And honestly, the Headmaster's not that great early game. You kind of want it after you've already got, Dogmeat going. So that's, always something to be mindful of with this. So this one requires 2 or fewer. This one requires 2 or more. So we're going to do the Gorge. With that, we're going to do some ramp. We're going to get out the Red Mage's Rapier. And this is probably one of the weaker ones, but you'll see why we want that in a second here. Okay, so we're going to untap. All right. So then we're going to do the Canopy Vista. Again, it wants 2 or more basics. Never mind, that's the wrong land. So we're doing the Command Tower. Because then we're going to do red, green, white. We're going to play Dogmeat. So with Dogmeat, we mill the top 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we only got 1 hit, which is the Mandible Kite, but that's okay. These all go to the graveyard. And then we're going to attack with the Rapier. And guess what that's going to do? Yep, that's going to make us junk. And next turn. Ooh, we got Cloud. Okay, Cloud's good. Mountain or Plains, which we don't control either. So in this instance, we're probably going to end up having to play a tapped land, which is fine. We're not going to be able to play Cloud right away. But what we can do here, let's go with this one. And then we'll do white. We got a Mandible Kite. Cool. Let's make a Germ. Our Germ flies. Look at that. And then let's play Lizard Blades. Now, this was something else that I kind of went with a small sub-theme, is Neon Dynasty came out with a bunch of artifact creatures, or equipment creatures. So this one is double strike, equip creature has double strike, and reconfigure too, so it's like equip. Now, since it's an equipment, all of our cost reducers and stuff like that all still work with it as well. So, and then, you know, we'll go, well, our kite can't attack, that's fine, but we can attack here and make another junk. Cool. Now we'll keep going. And then, lastly, we'll kind of do this. Okay, that's going to enter tap, but we're going to do double white. We're going to go get cloud. And now the worlds are oyster. We can go and grab anything we want. One equipment I didn't really talk about too much is this one here, Dancer's Chakram. This is usually the card I go and grab every time. Job select makes a 1/1 hero equipped to it, so effectively, again, makes an equipped creature. Creature gets +2/+2 lifelink, and other commanders you control get +2/+2 and have lifelink. So this makes Dogmeat now a 5/5 with lifelink while that's in play. That's insane. That is really strong for us. So let's do one more game here, and we'll go to the maybe board. Okay. So in this one, again, we're a little more... It's a little bit of a slower hand, but that's not a bad thing. Let's mulligan it. Let's try for something better. That one's not going to work either. This one works. This is much better. All right, we'll put Batterskull to the bottom and we'll keep this. All right, so new turn. There we go. We're going to start off by putting in a Cinderglade. We don't have 2 or more basics, but that's okay. We don't have a turn 1 play. Turn 2, we're now going to shock ourselves. We're going to take 2 damage. Ow, kind of hurts, but that's all right. But we're going to play Glimmer Lens. Again, we want to have a equipment online as early as we can, so that way we can start moving along with Dogmeat and getting those things going. The Mandible Kite would have been nice last turn, but, you know, whatever. We gotta wait. Okay, play this, and then, just like that, there's Dogmeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nettlesis, not a bad one to have. We'll attack, and we'll make a junk token. Now, these junk tokens are nice when we get to a point where we don't really have a whole lot to do on our turns. We'll play Stump Stomp flipped, because I kind of want to keep this just in case. And then, you know, it's... Again, we're kind of in that position where we can do whatever we want. Maybe we want some more card draw that we can play later. So we can do this, we can do this. Next turn. Okay, here's a perfect example where the junk kind of starts to come into handy. Alright, well, that's not going to work. Oh, cool, we got a land. We didn't have to waste a draw. We didn't have to waste any cards in our hand. We just used some of our junk tokens. Now what do we get to do? Well, we get to do white. Well, let's play Mandible Kite, which makes us a germ, which is equipped. Oh, it's an equipment. SRAM draws us a card. So, okay. So now what do we want to do there? So, well, let's see. We drew this card. This card's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. We play that. That's a 4 Mirrodin card. And, oh yeah, let's draw another card. So, kind of good there. So, we've got, you know, nice draw engine going. We've got, you know, the Glimmer Lens if we attack with at least one other creature, which, you know, maybe we get a free attack with Dogmeat this turn. Okay, cool. We get another draw. So, we've got draw engines going. We've got the ability to put pressure on our opponents. And we're just going to keep, you know, balling here. We're just going to keep moving out of control, which is exactly what we want with this style of deck. And if anything happens to our tokens, oh, the equipments all fall off. Well, guess what? We can re-equip them later. We can put them on other creatures. You know, Red 13. This is a perfectly good example of a card that we want to use some of these things on. Vigilance Trample, modified creatures you control have Vigilance and Trample, and when he enters, return an already equipment from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, so he comes into play. Oop, not that button. We can grab something out of our bin. We don't have anything right now, but maybe we did. And that's part of the utility that makes these things so strong. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea of what the deck can do. Now let's get to the maybe board and check out some of the more expensive cards that I haven't quite had the ability to get into this deck, or maybe some things that maybe you want to use. So first one, Steel Shaper's Gift. Again, it's another tutor. It's probably one of the best tutors for equipment-based decks. A little bit on the pricey side. I mean, it's cheaper than some of the cards in here, but honestly, I just don't have one right now, and that's why it's not in here. Another card that you might want to consider, not an expensive one, but Mr. Gutsy. Whenever you cast an order equipment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on him. When he dies, you create X Junk tokens. It's not a bad card, just didn't quite fit what I was doing with the deck and the theme. Another good one is the Ogre Head Helm. When it or equipped creature deal combat damage, you may sacrifice it. If you do, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. I found I really wasn't that low on cards too many times to make it worth it. Another card I've been considering, Power Fist. Doesn't really fit the technical tokens theme, but it does fit, you know, my Fallout theme, as well as the fact that it's just a straight up good equipment. Gives it trample whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Really strong. Stormforged Mystic, I don't think this one requires a lot of explanation. This card is really powerful and is probably one of the best equipment tutors in the game. Same thing with Kellen. Again, 2 mana tutor, has double strike, and other creatures you control get +1/+0 for each aura and equipment attached to Kellen. This is one where I'm considering it, but I don't think I will run it, simply because I want the tokens to do the work. I'm not going to really be suiting up Kellen. Now, I could suit him up, and that's definitely something that, you know, you can consider yourself. But for me, not really that way. T-Pro, what needs to be said about Teferi's Protection, one of the best cards. Probably the only game changer that I would use in this deck, to be perfectly honest. Just because of, you know, how powerful it is. Then a couple other cards I'm looking at. Rebel Salvo, deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker, but it has affinity for equipment. Just a cheap mono red or red removal spell that's on theme, as well as Gold Warden's Gambit. 8 mana seems like a lot until you realize affinity for equipment, and then it makes 5 2/2 tokens. Again, pretty powerful. And then for each of those tokens, you may attach an equipment you control to it. So say, I don't know, you got a bunch of equipment, someone does a massive board wipe. Gambit's a way for you to get back into the game. It puts your 5 more bodies onto the board for 2 mana, and then you just slap your equipments on them. So just some stuff I'm working on and thinking about. But with that, I do hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, link for the deck will be in the description of this video. And until next time, my name is Rob. I like to play games. I hope you have a great day and play more games. Goodbye, everybody.